Welcome to the Be Legendary podcast. Excited to be back. It's been a wild few weeks. All good in the hood. Crazy wild hair, don't care. We're coming at you live, baby, right now. So, I want to get into it real quick. Today's episode, what it's going to be about. And it's going to be a twofold experience. Number one, we're going to talk about what I learned from drinking my own urine, my own pee. And no, I wasn't stuck in the wild woods or trying to survive. Number two, I'm going to talk about an experience that I had about setting an intention and having it come to fruition. First, we'll go to the intention. So with the intention, I had an experience a few weeks ago where I was really down. I was in a crunch to try to make a decision that was best for my future. There was a lot of options, a lot of things going on, and I didn't know which way to turn. Through a lot of meditation and prayer and putting it out to the universe and intention, I had an experience that really reignited me. It seemed for the last 8 to 12 months I'd kind of felt in a rut. Not in my whole life per se, but just with getting answers to things. I'm the type of person that usually when I set an intention out or pray about it or meditate, I usually get an answer really quick. And then my challenge typically is to try to keep with that answer and to see it through to the end. Whereas I know some people oftentimes will struggle, and then finally they'll have a breakthrough. I usually have the breakthrough in the beginning, and then I have to hold on to it and justify and get through the trial of believing that or seeing that through to the end. And in this recent experience that I had, it was the opposite. For several weeks and even a month and a half, there was a lot of things going on in my personal life that business-wise I was trying to figure out what did I want to do. And nothing felt right. It didn't feel wrong per se, but nothing really sat with me 100% right. So I had to keep moving forward through it. And I got to a Thursday night, and I'd been out to dinner. I'd been talking to a lot of people, and I just turned my phone off. Like I put it on silent, set it down beside my bed, and I went to bed about 10:30, 11 at night. And I literally thought, I just want to sleep in the next day or maybe not even get up. Not permanently, but at least for the next 12 to 14 hours because I did not know what to do. I had to make a decision and figure out what was best for me and make a plan moving forward, and it needed to happen now. I didn't have time to wait weeks and months for an answer. And I went to bed with a prayer in my heart and a thought in my soul. And the next morning I woke up about 8:30. And I didn't want to check my phone. I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to know what this day was going to hold. And I had a text message from one of my close friends talking about the specific situation that he was working at a company that they had just reassigned or reshuffled things, and he was looking for an opportunity. And for whatever reason, I had never thought about going into business with this person or partnering up, and it just felt right. And I couldn't explain it. I wanted to doubt it. I wanted to overthink it, but I didn't have time. And so that very day, I met with him and his wife, and now we started a new venture called Volt. I'm the CEO. He's the COO, both moving forward with Volt. And I'm super excited, super grateful. And at that point, when I had that experience, like I had mentioned, it had been 8 to 12 months where I felt like me putting intentions out or prayers out to the universe and to God and all that I didn't feel connected. I felt like internally I was going through so much and I was wishy-washy with a lot of things that it came to fruition in my entire life. And at that moment when I was able to realign and reframe with myself and move forward, the last 3 weeks haven't been easier per se, but I felt more comfortable. I felt more full of faith. I felt that vibrancy and that energy back. And so I would just recommend to any of you that are out there struggling, going through a lot. I've had some conversations this last week with people that I know that are struggling, and they want information. They want to hear people's experiences, and they want to hear the podcast. They've been asking for more, and it reaffirmed to me what my mission is and what this is about. It's not all about being super financially successful, which I think is important to be able to have some freedom to help others, but it's more about your personal legend and your personal journey. In a book called The Alchemist, it's all about your own personal legend. And if you haven't read it, I definitely recommend it. We'll talk about it more in an upcoming podcast. But it talks about fulfilling your own personal legend and what that is. So now, for the moment y'all have been waiting for, what did I learn from drinking my own urine? So I was out in a neighborhood training a rep, and I went to my own street to start knocking on doors to sell some solar. Since we're starting this company up, I wanted to get out there on the front lines and really show the people how it's done. And I was in a neighborhood. I had a couple of water bottles. Core Water, which is my favorite, has a nice pH 7.4 to try to alkaline your body. Anyways, I had to use the bathroom, and I was a couple miles from a gas station. I didn't want to leave my area right then because I just wanted to get out, start talking to people, and sell some solar. So I had the brilliant idea of peeing in a bottle. Now, full disclosure, I'm sure it's past statutes of limitations. I've peed in a bottle several times. I've had jobs where I've had to drive a lot, and even doing door-to-door in the past during college. It's not always convenient. It's not like I grew up on a farm, so you just find a place to pee wherever you need to. But in the city, in Phoenix, 6 million people, it's not necessarily that easy. So I used the bathroom in a bottle, put the cap back on, and I'd set it by my car. When I got back to my car, I'd put it in the middle console in the bottle, and I went around the driver's side, and I got in my car, and I had a bunch of text messages I needed to respond to, people calling, and I was thirsty, and I knew I had a full water bottle of actual water. So I get in my car, I'm like on the phone, checking the text messages, pulling out of the neighborhood. I just don't even look. I just grab the bottle, open the cap, put it up to my lips, and spit it back into the bottle. And I realized at that time that was not water. That was piss. That was pee. Call me pee body, pee breath, Pee Wee Herman, whatever you want to call. And so I had to rush to Circle K, which is about a mile away. And I ran into the store, got a bottle of water, got some mouthwashed it out. And it really hit me at that time. It's like, okay, now I have a decision to make. I can stop and let that ruin my day, or I can keep going. And so I decided to go back after mouthwashing and, getting it out of my system, spitting out quite a bit. I said, I'm going to go back on the doors and I'm going to knock. So I went out and I knocked, and I got a couple more leads, and I ended up closing a deal the next day that if I would have quit, I never would have received that. And so it taught me a lot about a few things. So number one, if we're talking about an analogy, pee is essentially fluids and everything that you've taken in that served you at one point and now is being released. It's something that's a natural occurrence. It's something that you have to do to literally survive. If you held your pee, you could die. And it got me thinking about things in our lives that maybe at one time served us, but they no longer do. And you need to be willing to let those out. And don't go back and re-ingest those, whether it's a job you don't like, a friendship that maybe isn't best for you or even the other person, a relationship that's not serving you, whatever it is, don't go back and drink the pee again. Because take my word for it, most of you have probably never drank your own pee, rightfully so. It doesn't taste good. Definitely tastes better going in when it was the natural water, whatever, than it does going back out and coming back in. So appreciate all y'all tuning in. Love the podcast. I love doing it. Love sharing these experiences with you guys. We have some exciting things coming up. All I ask from you guys, it's something that I invest my personal time and money into. Not looking for any of that. Just if you guys like it or you've taken something from it, please share. There are people out there that are going through some things that they can benefit from your story, my story, and the stories of other people. And that's what Be Legendary is all about. So remember, you can be basic, you can be average, or you can be legendary.